they were actually, I'm just going to start the recording.
Yeah,
They, if I remember correctly, at Travis Scott, they were giving the jabs there. So like right before
probably. Yeah,
they went in, and then they hit them with whatever. I don't know. I at last I heard it was 10 or 11 people that had.
yeah, yeah. With the super low frequency, and then the CU on the other side, and like it was just. I mean, I don't know. I don't understand how people can still deny it, but
I know it's
um,
funny.
yeah. What else, do you have video? Like I see your video. Do I have video as well?
I'm not seeing your video, so you might want to look down and like towards the bottom of what you see, and there might be an option for you to like start a video, but I don't know if you have a webcam or like I don't know if you're uh yeah.
There you go.
All right,
Okay, I
good.
didn't. Like I said, I'm new to it, so
Perfect. No, that's
I'm
good.
trying.
So I can record, I think, up to a half hour at a time. Um,
Okay.
40 minutes or so, and then I can clip it out whenever.
Okay, perfect. I've tried so many different audio recording things, and I get so sketched out with them. I just tried another one, and it went all wonky right away. The one that I downloaded a few weeks ago so that we could set it up, it recorded everything. Like, and as soon as I got on a phone call, I could feel it click, and it drove me nuts. So I just deleted it. So I was in a rush trying to figure out what I could use, and I just couldn't find anything. So we'll record it for you. I'm good with that. And then,
Yeah, for
I can figure
this
something out.
because then I can
Yeah.
take and I can put it on the, I know right now you're just audio. So what your Spotify is how I listen to the podcast, but I don't know what other platforms you're available on.
Just Apple so far, and honestly, it took me a while to figure out how to get it to Apple, but it was really simple because it when I first started the show, it asked me what I wanted to use as my platform, and because I was a Spotify listener, I just automatically chose Spotify, and then I thought, damn, I can't make any money in Canada on Spotify.
Mm,
Not that that's what I want to do it for, but I mean, if the
right.
time ever comes, it would be handy. And I finally, after I think it was actually just a couple months ago, that I finally realized how to get it up on Apple, and I got an email within I think a month or two saying that we were ranked like 133rd already. So
Within like, yeah, within a little while of launching.
within a couple months, yeah, yeah, the number 33 came up again, so it was kind of nice.
There it
But
always
yeah,
sneaking in there somehow.
yeah. Yeah, Illuminati confirmed. Yeah. So what is it you wanted to cover today? You want to do some Rona?
Yeah, it was, I mean, I just the memories from 2020 and beyond on my Facebook is how I stored um
Info, yeah.
a lot of the documents that I did have at the time, and I'm glad I posted. Half of them were shadow. I mean, they were all shadow banned, but half of them got taken down for misinformation. One was a meme
Yeah.
about the I Am Legend movie, and I'm like, okay, we're exposed
Everything.
of it.
Everything was, and I don't know. I mean, there's probably like, you're probably the same as me. You probably have people that go on and report you, and I mean, instead of just
Yeah,
moving on and not paying attention, I mean, whatever, it is what it is. I don't care. Like, I have no, I mean, obviously you can see some of the stuff that I put up there. I have my bucket of fucks got a hole in it, so I mean, I
yeah.
just don't care.
I think at this point, my friends have learned not to immediately discount what I'm saying just over the course of like many years and being
Yep.
at the forefront of like before the Rona hit, I saw what was taking place culturally from
Yep.
what the medical community was starting to do with the rainbow agenda,
Hmm.
and how they were starting to kind of like work that in. And it seemed so subversive to me.
Yeah.
And when I tried to kind of make a point of saying like, hey, this is something about this is a little off, kind of being like ostracized. And then again, during the Rona, many of them kind of fell in the lockstep with the idea of signing up for the jabs and the idea that,
Hmm.
um, only hiring doulas that had their jabs, including like flu and like things that weren't. So like now we've added that all in, and it's flu. This the I can't remember Combivant. It's flu, RSV, and the Rona,
Yeah.
and they're recommending that at like a year, 6 months, 1 year of age annually for everyone. It's
There's yeah, no, there's absolutely no chance. I know one of the guys that I'm trying to coordinate a show with. That was where I'd first heard it, is because he's got twin 6-year-old, 6 month old babies, and he said like they're trying to get. They asked me to get my two baby daughters to get this, and he freaked out right away. And I mean, he's got a huge podcast in the States, and I mean, like, he blasted it out there, and I couldn't believe that they were trying to get you guys to do that.
that's
Like, I was just reading a thing the other day saying that like a man or a woman in the USA that's 35 years old has the same amount. A 6-year-old baby has more shots than that 35-year-old. It's like, okay, all right,
100%. 100%.
yeah,
That's yeah. And that's what led me kind of down the path of more holistic healing. And then again, it's
yep,
like seeing the subversion and then learning about that things like fifth generational warfare. And my husband's father is like an OG conspiracy theorist. I mean, he has a trunk
beautiful,
full of like the the good books, like the
the
real
whole good stuff. Yeah,
what you find now. And
yeah,
so just talking to him about that, and then how things went in 2020 with the Rona, and how illogical so much of it was, and just
yeah,
like anti everything we thought science was, you know.
yeah, yeah, 100%. Um, So do you, you got everything set up and you're recording, and you're gonna do, if you want to do a couple chunks like pieces of half an hour or whatever, that's totally fine with me. That's good with me. Do you want to start out? Do you want to go through like each other's timelines about how we went, like how
Yeah,
all of this unfolded for us, or is that what you want to do? Or
I think so, because I think there's something to be said for kind of allowing people to like I think there's something to be said for allowing people to see how it's breadcrumbs along the way instead of one.
yeah, unfolded for different people.
Yeah.
Plus, we're in different countries too, right?
Right, right. So I'm in the US. I'm in Kentucky, which is kind of like East Coast, but in a little bit.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I'm really familiar with the U.S. I've like being a sports fan all my life. You had to
Okay.
kind of know where where everything was and where everybody was. But I get that. I'm just about 20 25 minutes outside of Toronto. It's
Nice.
where I was born in Toronto. I lived there until I was 9 years old, and then for the rest of my life, I've lived not too far from it. So I'm sure you probably know where Toronto, of all places, is,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Yeah.
I know where the
Yeah.
bigger cities in Canada are.
Yeah, and which is strange because Toronto is, it's nowhere near so many of the cities that are, you're surrounded by, even Kentucky, I'm sure itself. But it's crazy because out of the entire land mass of Canada, out of all of it, Toronto is who decides who our PM is ultimately, which is insane. But the way that, like, our politics are set up in here and everything, it's um, like other people have all kinds of, like, infiltrations and everything, and obviously we do. I mean, we can see Trudeau's puppet strings, and I mean, he's slapped me personally pretty hard for it, from what we think, quite a few times so far, for speaking out and everything. But just the way that Toronto is set up, it's set up to basically destroy the rest of the country.
Right. Okay. And then they is that where you're so in the US it's Washington DC. Would you say that Toronto is kind of the Washington DC for lack of a
Toronto and Ottawa, yeah. When we had our big trucker convoy and everything, that's Ottawa, which is about 2 to 3 hours away from Toronto. And
Mm.
it's strange because, I mean, the most important political buildings are Toronto and Ottawa. Um, so I mean, there's been plenty of rallies at both, but like the biggest one was Ottawa, the one that was all over, the MSM or whatever people saw it
I
on.
from people's bank accounts, even if they just donated, like they didn't even have to go to the protest. They simply had to donate to somebody that was then found to have attended the pro.
1,000%. I one of my good friends who took part in all of it, who helped organize all of it, that live streamed. My son and I are like, on my family's live stream videos to us to see what was going on. He actually, like, we work together, we see each other often, but he actually messaged me yesterday because he finally got off all of his COVID charges. Finally, yesterday. He had thousands of dollars in charges that were pending. He actually got out of it yesterday, which, like, I couldn't be happier for the guy. We've
Yeah.
got one lawyer up here named Dave Freedom. and he
Okay.
kicks ass. He's taken
Freedom,
everybody to task.
FREEDOM, like freedom.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah,
Nice.
he's actually, yeah, he's actually helped a lot of people.
Okay.
Excuse me. Even I even had a couple people in the groups that we're in that, I reached out to them and said, listen, you need to get a hold of this guy. He may be your best bet to help. But um, yeah, it's been a nightmare and obviously not getting any better. But if we want to start out COVID wise, if you want to, like, it's up to you. My story is pretty cut and dry, but I have some very interesting um, like real life experience and data from hospitals in regards to like what happened to my little boy and everything. If you want to kick it off and go ahead, and then you know what I
Yeah.
mean, we'll share our information. That's totally fine with me.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that my it's interesting. I just found my medical, I'm not going to take it this far back, but I just found my medical records from when I was born in 1981. And I actually found the letter from my pediatrician stating that I had vaccine damage as a result of the pertussis. I had an encephalopathy when the brain
I've heard events up lawfully. Yep.
so, I was fully vaccinated myself except pertussis, and I was only told like I was allergic. I wasn't really told much else. And then
Mm,
I found when I was pregnant with my first, there were so many things that didn't make sense to me about the way the medical community treated pregnant women. It just seemed was so antithetical to the idea of like allowing nature to take its course and
yeah.
physiological birth and the overdependence on the medical system. And I started to get in my head about it a little bit. And then my daughter, when she was born at 34 weeks, which is when you mentioned your friend with the twins. I was thinking that a lot of twins are even born premature. So you're dealing with a baby with an even more immature immune system that
100%. One of my best friends just had twin baby girls that were born early. Yeah.
right. I mean, they usually are. So anyway, in my case, just a singleton and I had her. My experience was like very very medical because it had to be. And I'm thankful for the science that got us through that because she did have a little bit of lingering issues. She had to come home on like a heart monitor that would beep every time her heart would stop, and that monitored some other things electrically with her heart. It was a really heavy on the medical intervention, and it was not at all what
Yep.
I wanted. So it's my second birth. I hired a doula and got more interested in holistic um, ways of looking at things and kind of
Yeah.
had already started to get on like the train of not trusting and doubting. I had a birth with her. It was a midwife. I used hypno babies instead of like getting an epidural or any pain medicine, much more in line with what I wanted to do. And then so I followed the course to become a doula when I was pregnant with now my third child.
Mhm.
And again, I've experienced birth on both sides of it, like on the medical
Yeah.
and necessary medical intervention side, all the way down to like a home birth, and I was sent home 4 hours later. It was, you know what I mean? It was just a more a natural, like this is the flow. And
Yeah.
so with my third child though, I still had not really started investigating jabs at all. And so when it came time for her 2 month shots, I let them do the shots and she had the exact same reaction I did. And now I don't know to which of the shots because there's 5. I mean, the DTaP is one shot that contains 4 different things, and then you have rotavirus, you have like, so what did she react to? I don't know. And then that was like the hammer dropped, and I was like, no more. We got
Mhm.
kicked out of our pediatrician's office before it was cool. They put,
Of course.
they made us. I wouldn't sign the goofy consent that put like legal. It was all. It was. I wish I'd have saved that paper. Um,
Yeah.
and then 2020 leading into it, seeing the subversion within the medical community when it came to not just now the jabs that I was fully aware of because I became immersed with that in that world. And I worked I don't know, worked. I was part of an advocacy group in Pennsylvania. And we got to know a lot of great people within a great lawyer named Kevin Barry, who handles a lot of vaccine exemptions here in the United States when they were
Mhm.
mandating COVID jabs for New York City sanitation workers. He was helping them get there literally to collect trash.
Mhm.
And it was interesting because I really found that more than anybody, the Black community was just not having it. They just are naturally, thank goodness that they do not trust the community that gave them the
Well, why would they look at what who Gates' father is, right? Planned
well,
Parenthood, eugenics, and who did he want to eradicate from the planet? And who's jabbed? Who's like good for them? Yeah,
are you familiar with the history of obstetrics at all?
I
That
don't believe so.
he experimented his ops things that we still use today, things like forceps or other tools that are used during pap smears. He experimented on unanesthetized slaves, made them hold one another down while he
Gates' father, right?
there. This is, I don't know if this is Gates' father. I'm trying to remember the father, the modern father of obstetrics. I think they just took his statue down. They took down like George Washington's statue and Christopher Columbus before they took down this monster. Don't I,
But well, yeah, but every street in Washington is named after someone that murdered thousands of people, right? So that's fine.
I just
Yeah,
don't get it. I don't
yeah.
understand. So
Let's
just
give Obama $500 million for a library.
yeah, exactly. Oh my goodness. Yeah, they painted the streets and then they had to pay to take the paint off. It was ridiculous.
Yeah,
So by the time COVID got here, I was already not trusting and I was very loud and very not it was not well received because I spoke up against the education system. I started to make videos on TikTok. I've been banned a couple of times. I wear that badge proudly. I've been kicked off
yeah,
Facebook more times
yeah,
than I know what to do with. But it was all from sharing information because I try to stay as evidence-based as I can
yep.
and just warn people basics about like the face diaper, like that they were always designed to keep mucus and sweat and other things out of a sterile field. They were never designed for infection control.
No, the size of a micron that the viruses are carried on is so much small. Like I've tried to explain that to people. I've tried to show them information. I mean, we've all seen the videos about it. Nobody wants to. It's just there's just so many reasons why they don't want to get into it. Like I've even started suggesting, like when you're talking about your children with the vaccines and everything. Have you, by chance, have you had a chance to read RFK Jr.'s book about Fauci and vaccines?
No, 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 not as new one. Although I would love to read it. It looks really
Unbelievable. Oh,
intriguing.
it's unbelievable. Like I got halfway through and I had to stop because I felt yeah,
What?
I was just uncomfortable.
Mm.
Like and that's the thing. And like the more I think about it is the more I've said to my family and friends is we can try and give labels and terms for the reasons why people don't want to believe us or people don't want to hear it, but ultimately I think a big part of it is if I think I'm a good person overall, I don't generally believe that other people can be as bad as what people are trying to tell them they are. And I think that's a big part of the problem is that they just don't like. I mean, I always say your ego is not your amigo, but I think the bigger problem is that people just don't want to admit that there are horrible people out there. I mean, when all this started going down, I started getting into some heavy conversations, or at least trying to with my mom, who um, I love her more than anything, but I mean, like she's the only family member I have left, and I mean, I've leaned on her and respected her so much my entire life. Like I wouldn't speak ill of her. I would go to war for her. I put a lot of faith in what she thought and what she said. But the time came where I had to finally just say, that's it. We need to actually have some conversations about this, and I'm going to wholeheartedly disagree with you. We're going to go, and we're going to talk, but um, that was thrown out. That was thrown out pretty quick. Obviously, like you're saying, like I'm 100% shadow banned. Like I have people tell me that they don't see anything I post ever. When you were talking about the frozen accounts, I have friends and a good friend that went there. I never went there and I never donated. And my account has been frozen 3 separate times so far. One of them was just recently. And when I got a hold of like our banks here, what's that?
Did they cite a specific example, like we're shutting it down because suspicious activity?
No, so no, and that's the craziest thing is I could be I could be BS'd into thinking that there was a reason, an excuse. So The one time, I think it was the first time it happened. I went into the bank, and after over an hour of me being there, multiple ladies coming up to the till trying to figure it out. I said, like, listen, I have to go. I have to pick up my son. Is there any? And the lady was very nice. She was very helpful. She just didn't understand what was going on. And I mean, I don't blame her because of now what I know now. But she said, just leave and I'll have it fixed for you. Well, it didn't. I ended up calling, getting it sorted out. The most recent time was just not too long ago on a Friday morning. I generally get paid every Friday, and I went to do something, and my card just it kept giving different error codes, and I couldn't figure it out. So when the bank finally opened and I could speak to someone over the phone because I was at work, they told me, you need to go into the branch. You need to go. We can't tell you anything. You need to go into the branch. And I kept calling back, and finally I said, listen, there's no way I'm going to go into the branch. I did this last time. This is my money that you're holding and you profit off of. You get your manager to speak to me and we'll sew it up from there. And surprisingly, the manager of the branch that I am a customer did call me back. And it was similar to the conversation that I had with the nurse about masking and everything while my son was in the hospital. He told me I could hear him clicking through everything on his keyboard. I could hear him looking through, and he just straight up said, I honestly have no idea why this keeps happening to you. I can't give you a reason. There are no notes on your account. There is nothing. There is nothing different or strange about it. I've been getting roughly the same amount of money every single week for 8 years. So it's not like it was a new company. It wasn't a new check. It wasn't a new bank account. There was nothing that they could give as a reason. And when the manager confirmed to me, I don't have a reason to give to you, he said, I'll put a note on here so that it won't happen again. And I thanked them, but I said, with all due respect, I don't think your note is going to do anything.
Right.
I didn't tell him what my background was and kind of what my beliefs are, because that's irrelevant. It shouldn't matter ultimately. But I mean, like, if you can see what's going on with our government and like with the way with what they consider to be freedom, having your own bank account is not a part of it. And I mean, I just like you, I've been trying to spread this information for years now. Nobody's wanted to hear it. Excuse me. I think some people are slowly starting to come around. But I mean, at this point, I think that they'd rather go to their graves than admit that they were wrong, and kind of jump aboard the train and help out. I'm not even sure if they'd be able to help at this point. You know what I mean? But the yeah, our government, and then in regards to COVID, like I've always joked for 10, 20 years, I've always joked that our Canada or our government is always behind on everything. And the last thing that I joked about was our money, our paper money, how you guys had and so many other countries had that plastic, like with the see-through bit on it with the money. It took us, I think we might have been one of the last countries in the world to be able to get that. And I always used to joke that we're so far behind. And now, like, you can see it when every other country was dropping their mandates or their mask bullshit or whatever it was. You got JT up on a stage telling everybody, too bad. No, that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. But to me, I personally think that, that Australia and Canada are basically two tester sites. And I do also believe that Trudeau was punished at some point, because if you'd see on the news just recently, it was announced that he was getting separated or divorced or whatever it was. And I mean, there's a strong chance that him and Daniel Macron are an item as far as I'm concerned. But
I
he
see
actually
this like
got
your standard humiliation ritual. Like it's
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
But the thing in 2020, and people don't realize it, he got divorced back then. And one news agency broke the news, but within just a couple hours, all of that information was deleted from the internet. The newscast that was reporting it was deleted. So I think that, like you said, he did something and he got punished for it, because that's what happens, right? They're going to throw you out there. And most of the time you're going to lose your spot. Like when we have mayors here in Ontario, when we have a mayor that has some sort of scandal go on, they are literally removed from office the next day. And I mean, Trudeau has had one after the other, and it's still there. So I think he just keeps jumping back on and pushing something that helps him keep his spot. Obviously, he started siding with. I'm not even sure if he was siding with Gaza or whoever it was just recently, and everybody was so shocked. And it's like, well, if there's an election coming up, he's going to try and win back some of the people that he lost. I don't know why anybody would believe him. You know what I mean? You need to stop this, but it's the I can't even explain. Like I've been trying to go into you know diving down the rabbit hole of what he's all about and everything, but it's there's no need. It's so simple, right? I mean, he's controlled by the puppets that we have over there, and Klaus Schwab would be the first one to tell you that, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I actually just spoke to one of our prime ministers, our prime minister from the late '80s and very early '90s, I believe. His name was Brian Mulrooney. I actually ended up doing a job at his daughter-in-law's house, and she told me when we started, I kind of felt her out a little bit, and she was very nice. She was very respectful, and we spoke about something, and then she just shook her head, and I said, "Oh, it was about Trudeau," and she said, "Honestly, my father-in-law he calls my father-in-law all the time and asks for advice." And she said, like he's not particularly fond of him, but he tries to help because he loves the country.
Right.
And she said it's to the point now where her husband, who is Mulrooney's son, she said he's been in the financial sector for years, but he's actually he's got friends that are trying to get him to go into politics so that he can try and dethrone Trudeau and help the country. So it's like, even the other politicians that used to be politicians can see this and they're like, what are you guys doing? Right.
Right.
But
Why is it such
it
an
was unbelievable.
Well, it cracked me up. I
Um,
was watching something the other day, and it was a conservative commentator talking to some guys in a barbershop, and it was showing Trudeau in literal blackface, and I'm like,
yep,
you can't.
multiple times,
Eh, Why would anybody believe?
multiple times.
I,
Multiple. I don't know. And then it's just the excuses roll in. But I mean, the people that are even pipe up and have anything to say. Like I mean, in my experience, in my opinion, the only people that do end up really challenging, like me, for example, myself, I can only speak from my experience, is the people that get your standard 22 minutes of quote unquote news from the MSM, right? So if they have a 30-second talking point, that's all the ammunition that these people have. So it's so easy to disarm them, but and then you watch them get uncomfortable, and I'm sure it is about people with Trump down there. I watch that stuff all the time, and it's unbelievable watching people either stick up for him or go against them, right?
I know I'm exhausted by the whole political arena
Yeah,
here because it is just it's truly such a circus on both
it
sides.
just sucks you loose. It destroys you. Honestly, I think so much of the stuff they do is to show you that you don't have. Like, think about Kamala. I mean, she was polled as what I heard the lowest ever, and they still put her. And so it's like we don't care what it is. We
Mhm.
don't care if you like them or not. They will go exactly where we want. And I mean, to me personally, we're the ones being polled. They're not getting our information to figure out who they need to install. But I mean, I don't even think you guys are going to have an election. I think that once they go full blown war, I think that Biden will cancel the election, and I think that either him, Kamala, or Big Mike will be your president in the near future.
My prediction as of now, and their time remains. I am shocked that Biden is still with us. I would be even more shocked if 2024 happened. I can't see how they can run somebody so clearly,
He can't
quite
even debate.
frankly, demented and feeble. He
Yeah,
looks to me as somebody that's taking care of dying elderly people with severe, like he is somebody that is demented and feeble and dying, and he is not capable or fit to be doing he shouldn't be left without a caregiver. Like
no. Well, I see
not
his caregiver staring at him at every one of those meetings, just waiting for him to say something fucked up, and he always does. It's
he's
amazing.
wandering from spot to
He's
spot.
shaking ghost hands, yeah, walking off the
Not,
stage mid-interview. He goes to greet those 1,000 troops and just leaves before he even says anything to him. I don't know how you wouldn't demand to get him out of office
it's
immediately. I don't
embarrassing.
care who you put in there.
It really
It
is
is. I mean,
embarrassing.
we're embarrassed here too, but I mean, I don't know. I don't think that Trump is going to be the answer for you guys. But I mean, like I posed the question the other day that if Trump is your savior, if Trump is doing so great, and I'm not going to say that he is or he isn't, why did he install BlackRock as the people that run the Federal Reserve?
I
And
will
nobody could answer me.
I'm warp speed. I'm out. That's as much as it took for me. The second he went back on,
Yeah,
because he spoke to RFK. Perhaps you know this, but Trump spoke to
yeah.
RFK and was talking about starting, I guess, a board to investigate the
Investigate them. Yeah.
and then met with Bill Gates, who made a big donation to his campaign. And now all of a sudden, Trump's like President Warp Speed and rolls in this COVID the poke. And it's like, so he, as far as I'm concerned, is a glorified CIA asset, whether he knows it or not, controlled opposition, Jesuit.
Yeah.
And I don't, it's like, it's the better of two evils, but neither choice
It
is
is.
good.
It's real bad. It's to the point like there's a lot of people that I respect and listen to that will say that well he rolled out Operation Warp Speed ahead of time so that it would get botched. So and it's like I'm not saying that you're not right, but I think that you're trying too hard to protect him and not even really understand it.
And just let
Um,
people just let people actually be killed in the name of doing said good deed. Are we
yep.
I'm supposed to thank him for that? Because I'm not feeling the gratitude.
I mean like that's the one thing I don't know I don't know what the answer is and I always ask because unless you know like you said I like just like you like I look at these things I figure out what it is but if there's something I don't know what the answer is to I don't have a problem saying that I'm gonna ask the people like I always ask in that Illuminati group I ask questions of the people in the U.S. all the time because I want to know what you guys think what you feel you guys are going through it not me so
Yeah.
it's like I'm always asking and everything and I find when you do ask questions like that, you know, I just did the other day, I did a write up on it, and nobody has asked me. I even offered 3 excuses for him, and nobody has stepped up. And, you know, it's all he's a Freemason, he's this, he's that. And it's like, okay, but that's you're not answering the question. And if it's just because he got wrong information or he's too dumb, then so be it. I mean, who gives a shit?
I don't even,
But
yeah.
I don't know, but I think at this point he should be, you know, was it profit based? Would he allow? Because to me,
I
if one, sorry,
I'm sorry. Well, so I feel like with Trump, in the beginning, one of the things I appreciated about him, and just for the sake of, we have about 5 minutes, and then I have to basically schedule another meeting and start over,
okay,
unless I up,
okay,
which am not doing right now. Uh, One of the things I liked about Trump early on during the scamdemic was that he did these open press conferences where he sparred with these reporters live about the science. And he was like
yeah,
that for a couple months where I thought like, okay, maybe he is actually fighting on our side or, for the
and he
people.
was always against vaccines before.
Right. So we all were holding out hope. One day he came out, and I wish I'd have thought to like post or record it just for my own memory. One day he came out and his whole countenance had changed. It was
Mm-hmm.
somber, it was serious, and I'm like to
He got
myself,
threatened.
I'm like, did he get like did he get black bagged and told like we're
Yeah,
gonna, we have information on you, your family, or whatever, we'll do this, that, and the other, we'll
yep.
JFK you. Like we don't know. And I think something I don't I think he might have been for us, as in like for the people, but I don't feel like he's trustworthy after the warp speed and how he changed his stance on vaccine. Because for me, the shots, the current schedule as it stands is, in my opinion, for entertainment purposes, only provably harmful in by ed.
Uh, there's no there's absolutely zero benefit to me. I like I'll be one of those people that that go on record and just say just prove it's even here. Do me that. How can you create
They
something for
never
something you can't prove
isolated.
exists?
They never isolated the
The
virus.
virus itself. No,
They've never
no.
even
So
proven that a virus like actually exists, and that it's not just like
yeah.
brain.
Are you so you have you ever gone through the terrain theory then?
Oh yeah, I've been down that road in the
Yeah.
very well. And here's another interesting turning point for me is that in the beginning of 2020, a gentleman I know named Alan, who I know will see this. Hopefully you can get in touch with him because he's a brilliant mind. And he was
Mm-hmm.
the first one to posit to me, like, have you ever seen a germ? Like, do you know what a germ? Have we seen this virus? And I thought he was a
Yep.
little, a little kooky, a little out there. He was also my first introduction to flat Earth, so I appreciate that as well.
Yes.
But he's a really smart guy, and so he was the first one to introduce me to that. So I started going down that in 2020, and the more I learned, the more vocal I got, and the more Facebook groups I got kicked out of, and the more people wouldn't associate with.
Yeah, more people deleted me. I just
And
asked them to
now
go
I'm
ahead
in
and
the
delete
middle of Kentucky, which is like by design. I'm in the middle of essentially nowhere, and it's good. It's good.
me. Yeah, yeah. All right, do you want to hit
Yeah,
restart? Do you want to give it 5 minutes and then hit restart?
yeah. Let's give it. Can we give it till my kids are getting off the bus, so I kind of feel the need to attend to them
No
for
worries, no worries.
um
You let me know. Just play it by ear and let me know. I'm here for the rest of the evening, so that's not a problem.
okay, all right. Let me
And
just
then we'll get into it a little bit further then.
yeah, we'll get into the weeds a little bit more next time. All right. Well, it was cool. It's
Okay.
actually nice to make face to face
Yeah,
with you and
this is good. This is what we need more of. We need so many of us to bond together like this and
just
share
normal
information and just make our
people
voices heard.
station. We just need to be open and to be open to disagreeing
Yep.
about
But
things.
I mean, we're not even getting to the point where people are trying, right? It's just no, I'm just gonna doom scroll through this or whatever. So I mean, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I need to
You
talk.
let me know.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I will. I'll message you in a few minutes. I'm gonna go make some sandwiches.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right.
I'll talk to you soon, Matt.
All right. Sounds good. Bye.